Hi, Judge Andrew Napolitano here, and you are on Freedom Watch with my guest this week, Fox Business anchor and correspondent, and my dear friend and colleague, Gerri Willis. Gerri, welcome to our little show. You and I, and many of our colleagues, believe in the free market, meaning free from government interference. Is there any free market defense of the president's imposition of tariffs on steel and aluminum?
Well, no. This is one of those cases where the president goes off and goes right to Democrat land with his policy initiatives. That doesn't mean that I totally disagree with him.
Okay.
But let me tell you, this is not a conventional view of even Republicans. Republicans, people on Wall Street, do not favor this kind of tinkering around with tariffs, which are essentially taxes, remember, on the companies that they're put upon, and then, of course, American consumers.
So, from my perspective, as a person who examines the behavior of the government through the lens of the Constitution, this is profoundly unconstitutional because it's a tax, as you say, and because the Constitution says only the Congress can impose taxes. But the Congress, either because it doesn't want to take the heat or because it wants to give this president a tool for foreign policy as well as economic policy, has said to the president, you can impose tariffs. This goes all the way back to Thomas Jefferson, and Herbert Hoover arguably imposed tariffs at the beginning of the Great Depression. Have they ever worked? I don't think so.
Well, set that aside for a second. They're all over the place. We already have tariffs that we use all the time. Other countries have tariffs. It is the most routine part of governance for countries all over the world.
But for Donald Trump, who derives strength from a blue-collar base, to engage in economic adventurism, you obviously know my views, in such a way that a lot of a measurable number will lose jobs, that everything from automobiles to toasters to blenders are going to go up in cost. What is the gain? Is it a boast? Ha-ha, China, you did this to us, we can do it to you? Because that's not an economic policy, a boast.
Well, and this is happening on multiple levels. NAFTA's being renegotiated. There's the aluminum and steel tariffs that are being put in place. The president is also saying that he's going to put tariffs on a number of Chinese goods, which he has not named in detail yet. Have a lot to do. Can he name
specific goods?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that's exactly what they're going to be doing in the coming weeks. The deadline, I believe, April 8th, to get that done. But let me tell you, this, I mean, constitutional or not, this is the kind of thing that happens all the time. And the argument in favor of this is that these companies, these industries need help. They need protection. And as you know, countries all over the world, France comes to mind with Airbus protecting their own, important leading industries.
But does it really protect them? I mean, if he makes Chinese steel more expensive, how does that help American steel, of which American consumers may buy less?
So I believe it helps American steel. It may hurt Americans in other ways.
Okay.
The number of Americans employed by the steel industry is less than 200,000. It's not a lot of workers.
What?
The number of people employed by companies using steel products, millions and millions, I think 6.5 million.
Those are the people.
They get hurt.
Correct.
They lose jobs.
So is a can of beer going to cost me more? Because that will hurt his base. I'm not suggesting they're all and only beer drinkers.
Can of soup, can of beer.
Okay.
Cars going to cost you more, no doubt about it. Prices go up. And listen, I mean, so the steel industry has been in decline for probably 40 years. This is a horse that has left the barn.
What kind of retaliation can we expect? And on what products?
You will get retaliation, and I think what China would go after is our best-selling products, the products that would hurt, say, maybe
agricultural products?
Agricultural products. I believe China buys a huge proportion of our soybeans every year. They are our soybean market. So if they turn that off, which they haven't said yet that they're going to do, by the way, that has not been said. But they're holding that in abeyance, right? This is a negotiation. Later they can come in and say.
Does a tariff work if it is not uniformly applied? So if the president says, China, you're in, Great Britain, you're out, Australia, you're out, Italy, you're in, does that work?
I believe that, look, it was always about China. You know that. You've been watching Trump for a long time.
Right.
He is the person who has always said that they need us more than we need them because they need our market as an in market for all of their goods.
What is his goal?
His goal is to punish China. Listen, let me argue the other side for you for just a second,
go right
because
ahead.
I think we're taking a view that really doesn't see the whole world. So, World Trade Organization.
That's why you're here, to open up our eyes.
The World Trade Organization, that is the international organization that oversees all of these tariffs, right? They can say yay or nay, you can be in trouble with them, right? You look at what they do, they are so in the tank for China. It is ridiculous. They don't update their rules. I mean, originally it was...
Well, what has China done that the president wants to get back at them for?
Well, they dump goods in our markets for less than it costs their state-owned companies to make them.
So that keeps prices
That's
down
cheating.
at Walmart and
That's
Costco,
cheating.
and that keeps the base, which could be you and me, whether we voted for him or not. We go to Walmart and Costco. That keeps us happy. No.
What about the companies that want to make those goods themselves and can't sell below cost? You know what?
They need to find a less expensive way to do it. Otherwise, we don't have a free market. Free means free from the government.
You can't sell below cost if the government isn't sponsoring your operations. The government sponsors those companies' operations. And what's so interesting about that, you know what's interesting about that? More and more of those Chinese companies are doing that. There was a time when we thought China was going to try to open up their markets, no.
You're so good. Let me be a wise guy.
Okay.
Isn't this just a redistribution of wealth?
Everything's a redistribution of wealth. Every time you pick up your tax pen, it's a redistribution of wealth at the end of the day. Right?
You're so good,
right?
Gerri. Can we do this again?
I love you. It's
All
always
right.
so
Love
good
you
to be
too.
on your show.
Thank you very much. From New York, defending freedom whenever they let me. See you next time, America.